right. Well, first and foremost, why don't you just tell a little bit about yourself and about your role at ShipMonk?
I'm ShipMonk's Chief Revenue Officer. Been here for 6 months. Previously, I was a CRO at a fintech in San Francisco. But before that, I was at Shopify for 4 years during its hypergrowth moment leading through COVID, and also as it stretched up market and focused on larger customers.
Awesome. All righty, we're going to get right into the things that we know that you are an expert on. So just beyond the day to day, what's the most significant strategic misstep you see e-commerce businesses making that hinder their growth potential?
Yeah, I would say it's not just e-commerce businesses, it's a consistency in business today. We're in such an agile environment where speed is everything, but speed puts pressure on really businesses so that they build in systems and not just fragments. I think we see a lot of brands scale different parts of their business, whether it's like acquisition or ops or CX, but not really unifying them under a shared strategy or more importantly, like a data model. So I think you see that growth and it can be loud, but it's not necessarily durable in that case. So, and Cynthia, you would know this, like when marketing's sprinting, ops might be drowning or finance is, forecasting off of lagging indicators. You're not really scaling, but you're more so fragmenting. And so I think winning brands right now unify under agile operating frameworks, shared definitions, shared KPIs, and are really working real time.
Yeah, I love that word speed and agile, right? You have to have both, right, to be successful in today's environment. That's great. And I know you're really passionate about how technology fuels e-commerce growth. You're so passionate about this space. But how can really how can merchants leverage SaaS platforms like Shopify, since you're a Shopify expert, and any other platforms that will really accelerate their scaling efforts?
I'll say I feel for merchants and businesses in this regard because I think we've been in a comet of SaaS development and tooling and so many incredible products being developed just over the last 10 years. And what it's done is it's made the market really, really noisy. And you're seeing that even now in AI. Like AI is an incredibly incredible development. And I think collectively we're really bullish on the technology and all that it can do. But it's really hard to sift through like what's actually working. And I think for merchants, they kind of underutilize SaaS by treating platforms as tools. And I think the ones and the segments that are actually really standing out are like when you should be treating them as ecosystems. So like organizing your tech stack around Shopify for like that commerce core, or Klaviyo for retention and email, Gorgeous on the CX and conversational AI front, and then like a Shipmonk for fulfillment. Taking that kind of ecosystem mindset, I think really turns your stack into a growth engine and not just this like toolbox where it's like, where do we go for what? There's so many options, and eventually you're bloated and you're cutting. So I think that strategic integration, that's really the leap that's important.
Oh, and I love that ecosystem. That's such a great way to think about what you're using to be successful. And going back to your speed and agile, having that ecosystem perspective is really a game changer for merchants. So that's great perspective. Alrighty, so scaling we know is a major focus for all merchants, right? So what are some key inflection points you see, and how can they navigate the complexities of growing their ops and sales and marketing effectively? A lot of the things that you already kind of mentioned.
I think when you're growing, it happens naturally, and because it happens naturally, and your investments are paying off, you're reacting to your growth a lot of the time, and you have your regular business motion, like the weekly meetings, the systems you have in place, the team that you have in place, and it really requires, I think, forced thinking time and forced planning to look to the future and be like, hey, like collectively, we're in a new box for the company. How do we handle this new moment? Like, what are we missing? What do we need to lean in on? What are we not doing well? What are KPIs for us? Sorry, OKRs for us, but what are no KRs for us? Like, what are we taking off of the sheet of everything we need to accomplish? And I think so. You see it in a couple of different staggered ways. whether it's like in our industry where it's like orders per month, like where manual ops start to break. Like you need to be ready for that moment. When the channel explosion moment might happen and when you're juggling like, Amazon, retail, D2C, you're really going multi-channel. And then there's the other moment, and we're facing a lot of this today as we speak, and that's that international moment. And that's where cross-border complexity comes in, margin, compliance, and all of these things that require attention, due diligence, and like focused effort. So that's the big thing I think the companies need to be aware of. And with that comes chasing growth in isolation and kind of starting to design for like profitability and scalability.
Oh, I love that. Everyone needs to have that thinking time, right? Because we can always be, it's sort of like the saying of being in the business, working on the business. And then it's so hard to find that time to sit and strategically think about your business and where you're going. But it's so important. That's such a good call out. So yeah, it's really important. It's really
Yeah,
good.
if you don't calendar it, it can be really hard. So I sometimes just try to put in a block for forced thinking time.
Yeah, everyone listening today, put a block for forced thinking time. Key tip of the day. Alrighty, so of course, you worked at Shopify, you had a great tenure there. So we know you have a really unique perspective on the platform. So, like, what's one underutilized aspect of Shopify that you believe can significantly boost a merchant's growth? Insider tip for our merchants.
Yeah, I think Shopify has this, and I touched on it as I referred to it as an ecosystem and a platform. I don't think it's totally appreciated how wide and dense Shopify is. Like its ecosystem density is incredible, and whether it's the average merchant using 5 to 10 apps or all that, but the best ones are using integrations to create edge. So whether it's Shopify scripts or Flow or dynamically changing offers at checkout or the different pop-ups, there is a lot that this tool platform ecosystem is capable of. And whether it's working with the right agency or experts, or I know there's a lot of ex-Shopify folks that have started incredible agencies that bring in that level of expertise. But it's a platform that I also think does a really good job of skating to where the puck is going. So everything from the automation tooling that it has to how it's now thinking about AI and investing in AI. And by the way, investing in AI doesn't simply mean like the platform investment in AI. I think why merchants continue to bet on Shopify too is because of the talent that the company attracts and brings in. And you're seeing that now with even, Toby, the CEO's recent statement on that, AI is a skill that it requires across all of the roles that it's hiring for, not just, in the technology space. So I think the company is, it's not just a storefront. It's really this, incredible adaptive commerce engine. And I think that's where, even a partner like ShipMonk comes in and we plug right into that back end, the fulfillment loop, and really make it seamless and a lot easier for the customer.
Yeah, I'm picking up on you saying ecosystem and that engine. Shopify really does a great job at that. And that I guess statement that they put out about AI first, it's very impressive in my opinion. And that's why I think they are such a cornerstone part of any merchant's, success really. So that's great. All right, so building a high performing team is crucial for any growing business. We know this, right? And you're fantastic at building teams. What are a couple
I
of
like the
key
plug. Thank you.
what are a couple of key leadership principles that you found essential for inspiring and motivating revenue teams in this sort of fast-paced e-commerce environment that we've been talking about?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I think there's the standard stuff of like your leadership, and we talk about this all the time. Like leadership is a craft. It's a different skill. It's a different dedication. There's a different way to think about problem solving than like individual contributor type roles. So really appreciating that you're in this new space where you need to motivate a team, inspire a team, hold a team accountable. And one of the great ways to really like judge whether you're effective in this new craft is one, it's a people role. So have you captured the hearts and minds of your team? Like, is there that underlying trust? Because if you're someone that has only captured their hearts but not their minds, like maybe they're not growing or developing or sense that you're someone that is going to take the team in the right direction. But if you captured their minds but not their hearts, like they might not feel like that personal care and genuine lean in is there. So it is a people dynamic human system role. And I think that's what makes it beautiful. And then on the other end, I think great leaders manufacture opportunity. Biz Stone, one of the co-founders of Twitter, had that line that, manufacture opportunity because opportunity is a resource. Like it should be mined. Great leaders are proactive. They're thinking ahead. They're ideating. They're balancing big rocks and micro battles, and they're in the end treating their role in a lot of ways like a really good product person would. Like, have we shipped shit? Is there innovation in our business line? Do we have forward momentum on the right areas that we need to? And so all of that, I think, like balancing hearts and minds, manufacturing opportunity leads to the end result of like what a high performing team needs to do, and that's to win. Like the point of this is to win. It's to execute. It's to take that competitive spirit that like we all love about business and ultimately deliver results. And then once you deliver results, the harder part, sustained excellence, sustaining those results. And that is ultimately what I think leads to something that I love about college athletics and college sports is like that you've built a program all of a sudden, and not just the team that's there for a year. And programs are unique because they go beyond people. So once you shift people in and out, or there's change in the business, like that happens. That's normal. But as people come into that program, they know what that culture stands for. They know what the pillars are. And that's the power of winning and executing.
Yeah, I love that. I love the heart and mind and then the accountability, right? Because the great leaders can't just, you've got to hold your team accountable. You have to hold them accountable to ship shit, like you said. So I love that. And I love the sports program, right? Because people, when kids are deciding what college to go to and they're in sports, they know what the core values of that program is before they apply. So it's so important. I love that. I love that sort of
100%.
comparing it to that. Yeah, that's great. Alrighty, looking ahead, what are some emerging trends in e-commerce that merchants should be strategically planning for now to ensure long-term success? Because you've talked a lot about long-term success and those long-term plays, which I love because I think that people can get so wrapped up in the here and now and the today, and you're really emphasizing how important it is to think about that long-term strategy.
Yeah, I think not to be hyperbolic, but like the Zerp era is done, and whether it's business profitability, margin compression, rising complexity, plateaued volume, all of these things are part of this new reality. And it's not that e-commerce as a trend isn't going to continue to capture market share and overall volumes in the retail and commerce space. It will and it is. But that, hyper growth moment of the pull forward of adoption from COVID, we're in a more maturity phase right now than I would say like an explosion phase. That's not for all businesses, but generally. And in that, then operational complexity is also surging. We're dealing with cross-border dynamics. There's it's a lot more competitive. There's more sales channels than ever, like, TikTok Shop, Amazon, D2C, like you go through the list. You have to be everywhere. And so there's a lot of pressure. So that in itself, I think with the marketing space, India, that you know so well, there's hasn't been a collapse in ROAS, but it's a different reality. Like these channels are more expensive, the returns are tighter, and with the costs being structurally higher, and platform saturation, it's no longer a magic button just to do some paid social. And the thing was, at one point it was. So the game is just harder. And I think with it being harder, it's almost in some ways like we're back to how it should be. Like this is business. As I said, you have to fight to win. And I think the great thing about being in our space is I think fulfillment really is that like new front door. We know how important it is after like manufacturing. Fulfillment really comes up, and brands want logistic partners that are like flexible, data smart, scalable, and it's a space that's always on. It's never going to be perfect. There will always be things that either go missing or that like it's the real world, right? It's real human stuff. It's not technology. It's buildings and it's people. But I think where you really need to demonstrate that is like the merchant care component. So I think all these things are coming to a head in commerce, and it's been a wild ride even to start 2025.
Yeah, I love the miss the good old days of just being really good at social media, right? Though
Yeah,
when it
imagine.
was
Yeah.
a little bit easier, but yeah, I think that that omni channel, it's been talked about for probably decades, but it really is true, and it's even more true today in 2025 how critical it is for merchants to be everywhere and selling everywhere and talking everywhere and building their brand everywhere. So that's really great feedback. Alrighty, so how, we've talked a little bit about ShipMonk and fulfillment, but, how does ShipMonk beyond just fulfillment act as a strategic partner, in helping our merchants achieve their broader growth objectives? Because yes, of course, we're here to get that click to delivery, to get that package to their customer, but how do we show up as a partner, a long-term partner for our merchants every day?
I think you nailed it too, just by the frame up of the question is it really is, and you have to operate in today's world with this mindset of being a partner. And we know how important, like almost we've been brainwashed in a great way that customer experience is everything. That, that tailwind that Amazon, and Bezos has really catalyzed and inspired in this kind of obsessive way. And so for us, we don't just move boxes. Like that's not shipment. We don't move boxes. We move business outcomes. And for our fulfillment network, like we have to do the jobs of accelerating revenue for our merchants by hitting faster delivery zones, being more efficient, being very mindful of smart inventory placement, returns flow, all these things like B2B. There's so many initiatives within product that I think there's opportunity around in this space to just simplify the activity for the merchant, and at the end of the day give them one less thing to worry about. Like, is there anything harder in the world than being an entrepreneur or a business builder or an executive in this kind of moment? So we really need to take advantage of anything that we can take off of their plate as opposed to adding onto their plate, so that they can focus on building and not firefighting. And I think that goes into the next part too, which is like it's really exciting to think about around the corner, like what kind of fulfillment data can help us drive like merchant growth insights and having that kind of like the real time data at the fingertips for merchants. So it's back to what we said earlier. You're just not a vendor, but you're really a growth partner, and I think that's where Shipmonk really likes to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like everything that you just said encapsulates our tagline, stress less, grow more. I mean, it really does. It really is why we're here. And it just sort of tells the story of what Shipmuck is here and that long-term partnership for merchants. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I love this time together.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it. And I know we'll talk again soon. Thank you.
love it. Thank you, Cynthia.